Welcome to Live, life-inspired views for every day. My name is Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul. I've begun asking people if they remember being bullied as a kid. It is surprising how many respond with a name and a year or particular time in their lives. If I asked myself that same question, my response would be Jay Gunderson, 5th grade. He said I was fat. That wasn't nearly what some kids experience, but it left an indelible memory and affected my body image for life. As you listened to what I just said, you probably have a name ready to be released if you but opened your mouth. Some of you have many names, many instances, many experiences that are probably triggered from this topic. Painful experiences that affected your confidence, self-esteem, and the way you lived your life. Then I ponder, in my young, inexperienced time of my own youth, did I do the same or leave the same kind of wound in someone just so I could be cool or be included in the group? When we are developing, we are so focused on our own image, our own belonging, that we give little heed to the lasting effects that words can have on the lives of people. I have 78 and 80-year-old friends who bear the scars of those who called them derogatory names or made their lives miserable with taunting and bullying. That the tormentor or bully in their lives still comes to mind all these years later. Wounds have a lasting power over us if they are not resolved. Many years ago, I had been back to my parents' home and was talking with my dad up in his office. He was showing me a list of his classmates from his 1937 high school class. He stopped at one name and said wistfully that he had just conducted her funeral and that it was one of the hardest funerals that he had ever done. I asked him why. He explained, well, she and her friend were a bit different when we were in school, and my friends and I weren't always very kind to them. There was so much regret in his voice. I have another friend, Mark, who often talked to me about a friend from high school, a girl who he wished he could find because he and his friends didn't treat her very well either. He always mentioned her by name to me and wanted to tell her he was sorry for his words and actions. Do you have a story of being the one bullied? Some of us have carried those wounds, but have worked beyond their effect on us, though we remember the feeling and hurt that we carried for a long time. But some have harbored wounds that have affected lives deeply. Most of us have memories of regret for treating someone in ways that were unfair, unkind, or cruel. When I taught kids about bullying as a school counselor, I would often tell them some of the stories about these older people who never forgot the person who treated them so poorly. I would ask the students if they would like to have someone remember them like that. Brene Brown says that those who project pain to others in cruel teasing often are wearing armor to protect their own feelings of shame or inadequacy. Bullying has been around since the beginning of time, but it is no excuse to perpetuate behavior that has lifelong scars. One thing I know is that when we nurture cynical attitudes, we also nurture indifference and a lack of empathy or sensitivity. It makes me wonder if this leads to careless bullying or treating someone hurtfully. Cynicism definitely affects our attitudes and perhaps lessens our ability to show acceptance and love. One of the things I learned in my research into resiliency is that often one of the symptoms of someone who is not resilient is that they become cynical. After I read that, I vowed that I would fight cynicism in my attitude, in my speech, and in my tone. It's hard to do sometimes, especially about politics. But resisting cynicism can make your heart so much lighter and your care for people so much fuller. It is worth every ounce of effort. E.B. White, author of Charlotte's Web, said, "Writers do not merely reflect and interpret life, they inform and shape life. That the role of the writer is to lift people up, not lower them down." I am writing to remind us all. And so eloquently, Maria Popova reminds us, yes, she says, people sometimes do horrible things, and we speculate about why they do them until we run out of words and sanity. But evil only prevails when we mistake it for the norm. There is so much goodness in the world. All we have to do is remind one another of it, show up for it, and refuse to leave. This week on your bathroom mirror, write, I leave no room for cynicism, only for kindness and understanding. Join me next Monday for Live, Life-Inspired Views for Every Day. I'm Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul.